Hi everyone, this is Coach Dave March here to bring you another episode of the Growth Mindset Podcast. So, if you're new to my channel here, new to these episodes that I've been doing, I'm your host, David March. I'm an author of the book Vision in Action. As you can see here, as we help all kinds of people, entrepreneurs, innovators, take their vision into action step by step, and we have special guests on it every week to talk about different ways to grow your business. And today we have a special guest, Stephen. Stephen is the founder of Enterprises.ai. Stephen, why don't you introduce yourself to the people?
Hey, David, thanks for having me on. Super excited to be here. My name is Stephen Shugert, and I have been in the tech space for more than a decade, and part of that has been in the leadership and growth side and blending human growth and technology together to help people adapt and thrive in this new age of AI.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm all about. When it comes down to leadership, human growth, I think that's what we need more of. And, I'll be honest, definitely, what stuck with me was, the whole idea of being a lighthouse. I like that. I think that's important. And that's really why I kind of started this podcast as well, mostly because there's not a lot of content out there about good, inspiring, heart-led leadership. Most companies that are out there, not saying that they're selfish, but they're saying, what I am saying is that they're just been dealt a bad hand, because really all the information that's out there is just fear-based, unless you're just reading the Bible every day, which, a lot of people they come on Sunday and then they forget about it the entire week, and then they come back on Sunday again,
Yeah, honestly, though, it's true, though. And I think it's for a variety of reasons. Like, first of all, the purpose and impact that you're making, I kind of just want to, take a moment to applaud you and recognize you for the intentionality of how you are going to help people out there, and in some of the most fundamental ways. We spoke about this off camera, about the difference between hard and soft skills, and how important those quote unquote soft skills really are, not just in the workplace, but they bleed over into every aspect, every dimension of life. And the concept of that lighthouse. So just to kind of describe that a little bit more is when you're a leader, when you're an embodied leader and you're out there to actually help people, bring people up with you, there are many ways to do that. But one of the ways that we're resonating with is by, instead of going out and hunting people down or wanting to really in some ways kind of like the preacher approach, instead we in some ways focus on ourselves and our own way of being. And we stand tall and strong. If you think of a lighthouse in the middle of the ocean, it's getting smashed by waves, but it still stands strong and shines bright. And for the other boats that might be lost or anything that are out there, they'll see your bright light and they'll know, oh, there's something over there. There's some safety or help or guidance in that direction. And that just attracts all of the people that you're really looking for,
Totally. Love the analogy. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate it. I think that it's so big. And, one of the things we're talking about as well, I think is important, is around, personality types and how do we decide, right? Especially in time of AI, when people are getting laid off. We were just saying before, Microsoft or another layoff. And so what is the next thing that they're going to do? Where will they transition to? And so there takes some time to really go into yourself and figure out what do you want to do for the next couple of years. And that could be, making a transition to another corporate career, or it could be to going into your own business. And if you want to go into your own business, you have some specific tools that can help people, right? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it all starts with what do you really want and how do you make decisions, right? Let's just start there first and foremost. Awareness is the first step to making any kind of aligned decision, whether it's a career transition or whatever that might be. And I've been in the shoes of you sit down and maybe you just finished your shift at work, you're about to start and you're like, what am I doing? I don't know if this is aligned. I maybe don't want to be here. Something needs to change, but I don't know what, right?
Yeah.
And the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. And after working with my mentor, Dr. John DeMartini, I was inspired by one of his self-discovery processes on how to help people determine what their core values are. And like, why do values matter, right? Every single person, every human being on earth has a hierarchy of values that they use to make decisions about life. Whether they're aware of it or not, everyone has these. You do, I do. They govern the decision-making process. So what if we could create a tool that can help reveal what that might be for someone that may not be necessarily aware of that? And in the age of AI and how advanced these large language models are, I thought, ooh, this is a super fun project to build out. And that's why I created what I call the Purpose Prism. Very simple questionnaire that asks you 10 kind of introspective questions about different dimensions of your life regarding about, how do you use your money? What do you keep within your vicinity, within your space, your relationships or work, a variety of different questions. And the goal is that the user goes in and they can answer these questions in a journal-like format. And I created a kind of a prompt chain to really take all of that information in and reveal the nuances, the different narratives and landscape of this user, so that at the end they get a fully and customized report that says, hey, based off of these questions and how you answered them, the words you used and all of the articulations, this is what your life is revealing about you. And these are the values that you are currently holding true to. And that can be it can be very empowering. It can be a little frustrating as well.
Yeah, and also, a big piece there, Stephen, I think that a lot of people kind of resonate with is sometimes you have values that you don't even realize you have, right? Do you see that at all?
True. Absolutely. Just think about this. When you ask someone, hey, like, do you want to be a millionaire? Let's just go with that, right? Do you want to make a lot, do you want to make like,
Sure.
Sure, right? But is your life really reflecting that? Are you actually taking the actions? Are you working with a coach, reading the books, immersing yourself in financial literacy to really reflect that? And for most people, it's no, you're not really doing that. Mm-hmm. So egoically, from the ego side of the person, they're like, yes, I want those things. But the embodied self, what's actually driving them and how they're making decisions, that's misaligned. Now, there are ways to make changes to reorient that. And that's kind of what I like to call, when I work with clients, it's like, what era are you in? What is the narrative of your life kind of spelling out for you? The parts that you're aware and the parts that you're unaware. And how can we shift that so that it's more aligned, so that it fits the goals that you're wanting to go to? In what ways are you wanting to grow? And how can we make those decisions that you make day to day more in congruence with that? Because the moment you do that, the moment you start living in accordance to the values that are true to you, that's when I say, now you're on the path of purpose. Because purpose is no destination. It's all about that journey. So if you're consciously aware about the direction that you want to take, and you're making decisions that are aligned with that, your life starts to completely transform. And I'm sure you felt this in your life when you start to actually take action in those ways. Almost, it's kind of, you have to experience it yourself, but life will reorient in front of you. Opportunities will come by. Relationships will come that you've never considered before. It's a very amazing process.
Totally. Yeah, it's like it's great to hear you speaking about it as well. It's in contrast, I think, to the idea of kind of what I think most people do, which is kind of unfortunately live from a place of pain or fear or anxiety or stress. I mean, I'd love to talk about inspirationally led movements like this, but I think that the reality is, and the reason why we're here is because that's not the experience for the majority of people. I mean, the reason why we're talking is we're in alignment. We agree. But like, yeah, I mean, like one of the things I love talking about, for me is like my journey down south. I mean, I'm out here in Charleston, South Carolina, and and it's not because I had a dying elder, mom, dad, grandma, something like that. It's not because there was a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever, whoever you want to think about things. It's not because I had a job down here. I felt inspirationally led. I just felt like I should do it. And so you living life on purpose, and so living life consciously choosing the way you want to do things is very hard for people. It's very hard for people to just, I just feel like I should do this. I'm feeling the calling. I'm gonna believe the calling, and I'm gonna, have faith. And it's like, when most people I tell them, like, what the hell are you talking about?
I know. I love that you brought this up because it's not, yes, there are people that can just flip the switch and like, I'm a new person starting today. That is a bit rare though, especially
Yeah.
when we think about the changes that need to happen neurologically, nervous system wise. There is a bit of a transition. And for the people that want to, let's focus on the people who are like, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing. Life seems like it's happening to me, not for
Hmm.
me, and I don't know what to do.
Hmm.
I think it's important to recognize, one, if you recognize it already, like props to you because you're already on that journey. You're starting to develop the awareness around where you're at, what you don't like, and what you potentially want to start moving to. And I think there's certain fundamental pillars of life mastery that I think would really benefit those people. And the first one, the foundation of everything definitely has to do with physical embodiment to make those changes. Because if you start to work on your mindset first, that's great and it'll take you far enough. But if your nervous system is not attuned to that, and if you still have habitual patterns that are dragging you away, it's going to make it a more difficult journey. So whenever I work with anyone in this situation, physical embodiment. What does that mean, right? Yoga is obviously super popular because it's all about getting in your body, out of your head necessarily, and into the body, bringing awareness in, and moving through postures and whatnot. For me personally, I got really into rock climbing and calisthenics, or more calisthenics recently, because it forces, when you're on the rings in particular, it forces all of your conscious awareness into your body, right? And you start to develop that consistency and strength over time that then starts to reflect in your mental patterns. What does that mean? Once you have that kind of practice in play, now you know, your head knows, and it has that embodied experience of like, I can go do something that's difficult consistently, and I know for a fact results will happen. Alex Hormozy talks about this when he talks about confidence. Have a stack of evidence so high that it's inconceivable that you're going to fail. That's the confidence that you build. So when you're wanting to make a change in your life, a dramatic change especially, and you find it very difficult or you just don't believe in it, I always start with the body. Do any kind of movement, weights, movement, dance, anything that gets you fully embodied. So
Yeah.
pillar one, physical movement of any kind whatsoever. You'll
Agreed.
always
Agreed.
win. There's no fail here. You'll always win.
Yeah, you gotta get in touch with the body. You get in touch when you get in touch with the body, you get in touch with the mind.
Bingo.
Like
Bingo.
the thing coming out in mind right now is that the title of that old book, "The Body Keeps the Score."
Oh yeah, I have it in my bookshelf back here.
Yeah, yeah, so good. But anyway, let's go to the second pillar.
Yeah, the second pillar definitely has to do with your mindset. So now that you focused on the body, you're more in tune with yourself, wherever stage that you are, even if you're just beginning and you're like 2 days in, you're already on that process. You're already the best that you have been in your life so far, which I kind of like to think about. Every exercise that I'm doing, oh, I'm the strongest I've ever been today because I'm continuing that path. So now on the mindset approach. So this can, depending on the person, it can be a journey that takes a few months or a few years. And part of that is a lot of deconditioning and recognizing that, the way that you grew up, there are injected external expectations of who you should be, what you should be doing, how much you should be making, who you, all, you got to go list and list and this. And recognizing I don't have to be that. I can actually do whatever in life. Literally, my life, I can do anything. When I was going through this process, I have dual citizenship, for example, in Mexico and the US. And when I was going through this process, it really dawned on me like, oh man, if I wanted to, I could have a chance at becoming the president of Mexico. Do I want to? Maybe not. Probably not.
Maybe
But
not.
it's within the realm of possibilities. And this is an aspect that everyone can have. But it's part of the process of like being in stillness, recognizing the noise in the mind, like what's happening, what's taking your energy, where do I think I should be going versus where do I feel called to? And it's that evolutionary process, like what words am I using in my vocabulary that maybe limit what I'm doing? Like, I should be working out, or I should be working at this job, or I should be making this much at this age. Mild side note on that, I think for anyone listening, if there's one thing that you're going to take away from this, I encourage it to be the following, and it's to completely eradicate the word should from your vocabulary on yourself and others. My wife and I play a game where if either of us uses the word should, we just yell it out there, because we don't, the word should implies external influence. It's saying that like the culture or your parents or whoever that might be is saying that you should be aligning to my values instead of aligning to yours.
I think we need to pause there. That's so powerful. Like, that's a big one. It's a big one. I earlier on, like in this whole career coaching practice, I used to do like the the coaching for people like getting out of college. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
or getting out of high school, going into college, or even graduating college. And they're like, "Well, my parents say I should be a doctor. My dad says there's no money in art. I should be something like a lawyer or doctor or an accountant. All these shoulds. It's like, and then the idea is, can you separate the voice in your head, your original voice, your unique voice, versus the voice of your parents? And which one are you hearing? Can you even distinguish what it is your own voice versus your mom or your dad's voice or whatever? It's a
And that's a
powerful
journey in
piece.
itself.
That's a journey itself. Yeah.
I
As
agree,
well.
though. I think when it comes to recognizing whose voice are you listening to internally,
Yeah.
again, there's some discernment there. This is where I think yoga teaches this really well. And when I say yoga, I want to be explicitly clear. It's not core power yoga. It's not like the stuff that you go out there and you bring your yoga mats and you do them. That's one part. But the process of evolution through yoga involves 6 limbs. But we're only going to talk about 3. The movement part of it, which is that first pillar that I was talking about, embodied movement. The second one has to do with breathing exercises. And why is that cool and important? When you breathe, you have a direct control over your heart rate and your mental state. So depending on however activated you are, if you want to have more control over yourself in any situation whatsoever, always think about the breath, right? So we have the physical practice to get the excess energy out of the body. We have the breathing practice to get the excess noise going on mentally. And then all of that leads to stillness, meditation, contemplation. It's funny because it's kind of paradoxically, it's almost like getting the jitters out physically and mentally so that we can actually sit, we can be with ourselves and recognize the kinds of thoughts that are floating through our mind, what are the thoughts that are kind of like pulling that energy, that are taking so much conscious awareness from you. I always visualize them as Dementors from Harry Potter when they fly in and they're like sucking the life energy out of you. Some thoughts are exactly that. They're just sucking the life force from you. And those could be the shoulds that are being injected to you from the outside of like, you should be the doctor. You should be making X amount at this age. And it's saying, I see what that is, and I've like assigned an identity saying, oh, I need to be this identity. But for some reason, there's that incongruence in your heart. And you're like, I don't want to do this. And when you become aware of that, I get so excited when someone working with has that level of awareness. They have that aha moment. Because now it's like, oh, bro, we are cooking. We are cooking now. Now you have the awareness. You've developed the skill set to actually like put yourself in a mentally and physical state to have control over that. And slowly but surely, you can just cut that link. It doesn't like cut right away. It's a little bit over time. But the power that it has over you will diminish over time. And what does that do? Now you reclaim all of that energy in your body. Now you're not going to be as fatigued around making these decisions. And you're going to feel this rise in excitement and inspiration to like, no, I do want to do this. And maybe that might be something totally different, like becoming a scuba instructor. Who knows?
Whatever you want to do, yeah.
It really comes down to that, because when you are living an inspired and purpose-driven life, it doesn't have to be making $50K a month. It could be $50K a year, but maybe you're in Colombia and that $50K goes way further than it does in the
Maybe you're in the Philippines. I mean,
or that too.
Currency is like the big thing. That was one of the big things I remember reading in the 4-Hour Work Week. I have that over here, the 4-Hour Work Week. You can have this a currency advantage. Like you could be making $50K a year but living in Thailand or Philippines and the currency, because it's just the exchange rates and everything, you're living like a king. So it's a big piece
It's
too.
pretty exciting, and it's again, it's thinking outside of the box. It's instead
Yeah,
of being like, oh no, I'm just gonna live where I was born and move into the city because that's what everyone else does and that's where jobs are, or whatever. No, the world is my oyster. I have the capacity to create the life that I want. And yeah, I'll have to learn. I'll have to struggle. I'll have to fail a lot. I will succeed and fail again. But it's that ever evolving journey that helps you live that life where you're actually excited to wake up. You're excited to go through the work, and it's not all fun and games 100% of the time. This is one of the concepts that Martini teaches, is that when you're living in congruence with purpose, you're not ignoring the difficulties of life. On the contrary, instead of being mentally polarized and only focusing on the positive, your awareness is expanding over to all of the negative as well. And the negative, I don't mean it necessarily as bad, because a lot of bad things that happen in life are really good learning opportunities or growth opportunities or challenges. So if you're going into a venture, like let's just say you're leaving corporate America and you're starting your own company, there's a whole slew of challenges that you're going to have to face and learn. But if you're creating something that is valuable to people, that is transformative to them, that you've gone through and that has helped yourself too, in a lot of ways, like you'll crawl through glass to go through it. You'll accept the challenges and accept the benefits, and you're not going to be hooked on either. You embrace all aspects of life. And that's when I think that you're truly living.
agreed. Agreed. Well, I mean, look, we have definitely shared some real big insights here, Stephen. I think that there's a lot of replayability in this episode for people, and so I think at this time we're gonna wind down. And as we kind of get to the end of this episode, is there any books that you have any recommendations for, or any quotes you got in mind that you want to share as a kind of a final encouragement?
There's so many books. Funny enough, there's an epic fantasy series that I have become quite fond of in the last few years by Brandon Sanderson, and it's called the Stormlight Archive. And it's a series of 10 books, but only 5 have come out so far. And one of the main quotes in that series is, journey before destination, which is like, life is really about being in the present moment throughout that journey. There will be destinations along the way, or accomplishments or goals achieved, but life, it's not about hitting that one thing and then you're done. Like, oh, I made my first $1 million, I'm done. That's not how life works. It's more of an ongoing process. So focusing on the journey. Another quote that really stuck with me is, sometimes a hypocrite is simply a man in the process of changing.
Hey, that's a good one. That's a good one.
So
That's a good
I
one.
tell that one myself all the time. In terms of books, though, oh God, there's so many different books. It depends on your perspective and angle.
Yeah, there's so many different options. I mean, I feel like those quotes are pretty potent in and of themselves. We can go with those. We can go with those, and yeah, and if anyone that's listening wants to learn more about you and the company that you have, tell us where they can find you and how they can contact you.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Stephen Shugert. The business I run is called Agents.AI, and you can find me there. I'm posting on LinkedIn. Yeah, if you want to work with me on any kind of like AI context, Agent Enterprise is the way to go. Or if you're looking for any kind of like mentorship or personal growth of any kind, you can shoot me a message on LinkedIn as well. That's a great place to get in contact with me.
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn all the time. LinkedIn is the way to go. I agree.
It's grown so much. It's changed. It's becoming more of a hub.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thanks everyone for your long attention here. This is the Growth Mindset Podcast signing out.